I was younger, I used to be obsessed with ghosts and all sorts of haunting shows. Now, I never particularly see any reason to believe my house was haunted, but one day my brother came home claiming to have found $10 out of nowhere. I'll never know for sure if he was just messing with me, but after curiosity got the best of me, I asked him where he really got the $10 from. Stupid me assumed maybe a friend. Perhaps he stole it from my parents' wallet. My parents never claimed to have been missing any money, however, something they would have definitely voiced distraught after they noticed we'd taken their cash. The story he gave me was about a young girl, about the age of 7, who had followed him onto the school bus that afternoon. He'd never met this girl and never seen her around the school, so she decided to sit in the seat in front of him. After riding the bus for a little while, she started talking to him. Nobody else could see her according to him, and other kids were giving him looks. Eventually, she handed him a $10 bill with a note and then subsequently got off the bus at the next stop. I assumed maybe he was lying and laughed, of course. I asked him to show me the note, which he promptly pulled out of his room and passed me a tiny piece of paper. A shiver ran down my spine as the note wasn't in his handwriting, but in the handwriting of what I could only assume to be the young child that read, "I'll help you, only this one time," which I believe was in response to the fact that my brother was begging my parents for a Zelda charm bracelet for months, which they refused to buy him. Given that he had $10 now, he could just buy it himself though. Of course, me being me was extremely intrigued by this, even if it seemed absurd. I suggested we make a makeshift Ouija board and see if we can contact anyone. So we wrote the alphabet on a piece of paper and grabbed a necklace to hover over the DIY board. My brother was interested too, so he decided it could be fun. Mind you, I was in 6th grade and he was in 4th grade at the time, so any sort of movement from the necklace caught our attention and we immediately assumed it was a ghost. After asking a few questions, the necklace began to move and shake. Either my brother was really good at tricking me by slowly sliding the necklace across the board, or it really was something paranormal. We were able to get a name, Kate. After asking dumb things like, "Did you watch me complete the Shadow Temple of Oshiera in time?" and getting a yes, me and my brother decided to stop for the night after being creeped out. We never said goodbye before ending though. Eventually, playing with the board would be a daily occurrence. We thought we'd make a friend and truly believed that someone was talking to us. Me and my brother decided to take things a step further and try to record something. So we both got out our tablets and placed them in front of our TV and hit record. The first thing I asked was if someone was there, move something in the room. Nothing. Okay, well, maybe the ghost is shy. We decided to ask the same question, but this time we said we'll leave the room to give it time. We went downstairs for 5 minutes, and when we got back upstairs, our tablets had fallen onto the floor and stopped recording. Maybe a coincidence? I mean, things fall, especially when you're not careful at placing them, so we brushed it off. In December of 6th grade though, things got weird. I started to hear voices in my head claiming that they were ghosts. I was talking to them for a while, playing the Ouija board. I got so scared one night, I grabbed the Bible one of my religious friends gifted to me and would sleep with it. Eventually, I told my mom that there was a ghost telling me scary things. She and my dad argued for a while whether if I was schizophrenic or not, and if I should see a therapist. So out of fear, I never told them I was hearing voices again, but I'd space out often talking and having conversation with this thing I believed to be a ghost. Eventually, I forgot about the ghost and we no longer talked. I will never know what that voice was, if I was genuinely insane, if they were just intrusive thoughts. I was just glad for it to have stopped. Nothing necessarily paranormal has happened to me since my TV turning on randomly in the middle of the night, or the feeling of someone pushing my legs with some sort of unknown force every once in a while. But I do still have this looming feeling that ever since I played the Ouija board, I have some sort of spirit attached to me, following. Not a bad one, just a looming presence. This happened around 2 years ago, so if the details seem scrambled, that's probably why. My friend and I, who I'll refer to as Q, were bored on a Thursday afternoon in January 2019. Naturally, as all teenagers do, we decided to create an Ouija board to see if the whole hype around them was true. We assembled the board on a piece of cardboard we found in Q's recycling bin and followed a WikiHow tutorial on how to make a Ouija board. With everything set up, we began the process. We asked the standard questions that everybody asks, like, is anybody there, etc. We weren't having much luck, and just as soon as we were about to throw the board away, we finally get a response to our previous question. The planchette, which we use as a magnifying glass for, slowly slid over to yes. I called Q out for moving it, but he swears to this day that he didn't move the planchette. We kept asking questions, but we were getting very cryptic responses, mostly scrambled letters and such. Also, the planchette was moving very slowly at this time, taking around 5 seconds to transfer between letters and numbers. This all changed when we asked, "Where did you die?" The planchette quickly started rotating between the letters XZ, 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 XZ. Q looked at me with his face white as a sheet. I asked the question, "How did you die?" and it quickly moved over to a sequence of numbers 10808080808. Starting to get spooked, we closed the session and burnt the board. Nothing bad or paranormal has happened to us to this day. I tried to research the numbers and letters a few days after this session, but nothing showed up. This experience has always been nagging my mind every once in a while, and now I finally decided to hopefully get some answers. So my cousin, Kilit, Giro, Boney, Chewy, and myself, when we found the Ouija board inside a box of my late great-uncle's house. It was also my cousin Giro's idea to play it. It did take some coaxing, but he convinced all of us to go to an empty field close to my Nana's house and try to play with it. We had always been warned to never play with anything like this, but we were kids and, well, we liked to seek the thrill of not listening to adults. Anyways, we did the ritual, or at least we thought we had to do. We didn't have internet to look this up, but we had heard word out of mouth from friends what we thought we needed to do, which was place a finger on the tab and move it around as we asked the board questions, and then stop moving when we finished asking the question. Seemed innocent enough. We asked a silly question like what day it was, and we got nothing. The tab didn't move at all. Then Boney asked, "When will I die?" And the tab began to move. We all laughed, thinking it was Boney or Chewy that was moving it, but as it moved across the board, we all felt like an electric shock on our fingertips. It startled me and I moved my hand off because I felt scared, but quickly Giro told me to put my hand back on, and he called out each letter as the board spelled out pronto, which translates to soon. I remember the feeling around us went from nothing to frightening. I had the urge to back off and run away, but Giro, who could see that I was very uncomfortable, reassured me that we were okay, and it was just letting the nervousness getting to us. Now, because Boney had asked something that made the tab move, we told him to ask another question. He looked scared, but he finally asked if he was going to be killed, and right away the tab moved to the word yes. Not gonna lie, when this happened, he took his hand off the board. I remember all of us just looked at him and Giro tried to calm him down. At this point, Giro said it could be anyone moving the tab, but deep down that was the excuse to keep the little piece we were holding on to, because even as Chewy, Khalid, and I still had fingers out on the tab, we felt something when the tab moved. Boney said he was scared and didn't want to continue, but Giro told them we had to finish what we started. Boney insisted that we stop, and Giro, like the smooth talker he is, convinced Boney to keep playing. This time had Khalid asked when Boney would be killed. Boney was pissed when he asked that. Khalid was a jokester among us, and I think he tried to lighten the mood, but Boney was on the edge at the revelation. Anyway, the boards answered 10. It pointed out. Chewy then spoke up. He said, "Guys, I feel something holding me in place. I have been trying to lift my finger off since it moved this last time," he said, and that's when we all tried to get off the tab and couldn't. That's when Boney and Khalid panicked. They started to scream and Giro tried to calm us all down. We were kept in place by something and was horrifying. We couldn't move. It was like we were frozen in place. Giro again got my two other cousins to stop breathing hard and yelling. Chewy and I were crying. Giro said, "We just need to finish the game, guys. We need to stay level-headed." He spoke calmly, but he was scared like us. Then I asked how we were going to finish when we didn't even know when we started. Giro said we were just asked if it was okay to leave. He took a deep breath and asked if we could leave. It answered no. Boney was a little more calm, but he said maybe we need to ask one more thing before asking if it would release us. Giro agreed and asked who was with us, and it spelled out Satanas. Satan. When I tell you the fear I felt is something I never want to feel again. Once we realized what it said, it went quiet. Mind you, it was bright daylight, but we couldn't hear the wind or anything. Like time froze on us, and again, Cue the Water works from Chewy, Killian and I. We were scared, and my cousin Giro then asked Satan, can we leave? And it said no. There was no calming us, and Boney began to yell at Giro, and he lost his composure, and he tried again to leave, but it couldn't. It was like our legs stopped working for us. Giro took a deep breath, and maybe something new needs to ask if we can leave, so Colette asked, and the board went crazy. The tab went from side to side, our fingertips still attached, and suddenly we were released, and we got up and ran as fast as we possibly could, leaving the board behind. I was sobbing and ran to my Nana's house, and my cousin Colette and Chewy ran home to their mothers to tell them what happened, while Giro and Boney ran to who knows where. I told my Nana everything. She was upset, but she had my uncle drive us to where we had left the board, and it was gone. My Nana got the boys round up, and they swore they didn't have it, and after digging around in their rooms, the board didn't come up. Then my Nana called a priest and had us blessed, and had a healer pray over charm bracelets for protection, and we didn't speak of this again. My cousins and I went different paths in life. Colette became a politician, Giro a lawyer, Chewy an owner of a cab licensing place, and Boney, well, he was a Class A criminal. Now, I won't give a year when it happened, but Boney was murdered when he was 25 years old, and he was one of 8 other victims of a supposed serial killer. He was shot twice in the face while he slept. His death was what reunited my cousins and I, and it left us completely mind-blown. The board had told us Boney would be killed, and when Colette asked when, it responded with just 10. I still think of this fateful day. Maybe life would have been different if we never played with the board, but maybe Boney wouldn't have lived his life so recklessly, waiting for his death at his door. I wish we could take it back, but maybe this was fate.